Let's be honest, marriage isn't just a relationship, it's a life decision. And no matter how strong your faith is, there's always that quiet question in your heart. How will I know if this person is the one Allah wants for me? You've prayed, you've waited, maybe you've even been heartbroken before. And now, every time someone comes close, your heart whispers, is this real? Or is this another test? But here's the truth. Allah doesn't leave his servant in confusion. He gives signs, not always loud, not always fast, but clear, if your heart is open. So today, let's talk about 7 simple but powerful ways Allah shows you who to marry, using Islamic wisdom, real-life patterns, and emotional clarity. Because when it's from Allah, you'll feel it in your soul. Sign number 1. You don't chase. It comes together naturally. When Allah writes someone for you, you don't have to beg for their effort. You don't feel like you're the only one holding things together. Yes, you both make effort, but it's mutual, balanced, peaceful, doors open, hearts align, and things begin to unfold without you forcing it. When it's right, it feels guided, not rushed. You don't feel like you're constantly fixing, convincing, or chasing if you're the only one carrying the weight. Maybe it's not a love story. Maybe it's a lesson. Sign number 2. They bring you closer to Allah, not further. Pay attention. When Allah sends you someone, they don't make you compromise your faith. They don't laugh at your boundaries. They respect your prayers. They remind you of what matters. The Prophet said, "The best of you are those who are best to their families." So ask yourself, does this person make you feel closer to Allah or more distant from Him? Real love doesn't pull you into sin. It pulls you into light. Sign number 3. They honor you in public and private. Anyone can be charming when the world is watching. It's easy to smile for the camera, to speak sweetly in public, to act like the perfect partner when there's attention or applause. But those moments, they're not where true character lives. The real test of someone's heart is in the quiet, in the shadows, in the messy, unfiltered moments where no one is there to praise them for how they act. How do they treat you when they're tired, frustrated, or under pressure? What do they say when there's no audience, no social media story, no family around to see their kindness? Because anyone can act good for a few hours. But the one Allah has written for you will carry that goodness even into the moments no one else sees. If someone's affection disappears when you're alone, if they raise their voice at you in private but smile in public, that's not love. That's a performance. And love was never meant to be a stage. When someone truly honors you, it's not just about the sweet words in front of others. It's about the respect behind closed doors. They don't mock your feelings just because they're angry. They don't make jokes out of your vulnerabilities. They don't bring up your past mistakes just to win an argument. Even when emotions run high, they remember. Your heart is an amana, a trust from Allah. And that trust deserves gentleness, even when they're upset. Honor shows in the smallest things, in the way they listen when you're quiet, in the way they lower their voice when you're already hurting, in the way they pause before reacting, because they care more about protecting your heart than proving a point. They won't manipulate you, guilt-trip you, or make you feel like you're always the problem. They won't punish you with silence or explode in rage when they don't get their way. Instead, they choose patience over pride, mercy over control, and love over ego. That's real love. Not the kind that thrives on public validation, but the kind that holds steady when no one's clapping. They don't just act kind when people are watching. They live that kindness when no one is around to see it. And when they speak about you to others, They do it with respect. They don't gossip about you behind your back. They don't use your weaknesses as punchlines in front of their friends. They don't compare you to others or highlight your flaws just to feel superior. Because when someone sees you as a blessing from Allah, they treat you like a sacred responsibility. They guard your reputation. They uplift your spirit. They choose to protect your name and your honor as if it were their own. If you ever notice that someone changes when the world isn't watching, that they're warm in public but harsh in private, don't ignore it. That's not respect. That's not safety. That's not someone who's meant to carry your heart. True love isn't loud. It doesn't need to be broadcasted or proven with grand gestures. It's quiet, consistent, and it shows up in the moments that no one sees. The one Allah has written for you won't use love as a weapon. They won't make you feel small just to feel big. They won't demand your silence so they can feel powerful. Instead, they'll protect you, your dignity, your emotions, your trust, like a gift that came from Allah, too valuable to ever take for granted. And they won't need a spotlight to do it. Because when love is real, the heart stays kind, even in the dark. Sign number 4. You feel calm after making dua, not confused. When you're trying to figure out if someone is truly meant for you, it's natural to overanalyze everything they do. You replay their words. You study the way they text. You look for signs in how they show up or how they delay. You ask others, watch videos, read posts, hoping for something to confirm what your heart wants to believe. But here's what many people forget. The biggest sign doesn't come from them. It comes from you. More specifically, it comes from how your heart responds after you sincerely turn to Allah in dua. Because when you say, Ya Allah, guide me to what's best, you're not just asking for a green light. You're asking to be aligned with truth, with peace, with protection. You're handing over your desire, your hope, your confusion, and saying, you choose, Ya Allah, because you know what I don't. And that kind of dua, the kind that comes from a place of surrender, it always brings an answer. But it's not always a voice, not always a dream, not always a dramatic moment where everything clicks. Often, the answer comes in something quieter, something softer, something internal. It comes in the stillness, the absence of panic, the calm that replaces your obsession, the way your chest stops feeling tight every time you think about the situation. If it's from Allah, you won't feel like you're fighting yourself to hold it together. You won't feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid that one wrong move will make it all fall apart. You won't need to convince yourself daily that maybe this is right, while your heart is screaming that something feels off. Instead, even if the situation isn't perfect, even if there are still details to figure out, you'll feel a gentle calmness, a steady reassurance, like something inside of you has finally exhaled. It won't feel like an adrenaline rush. It will feel like coming home, safe, balanced, guided. And here's the part that's hardest for many people to accept. Sometimes the peace comes when the person leaves. Sometimes the answer to your dua is a slow fade, a door quietly closing, a message that doesn't come, a plan that never materializes. And you'll feel confused. You'll wonder, but I prayed. I asked sincerely. Why would it end if I gave it to Allah? But that is your answer, because Allah doesn't always say yes with a perfect outcome. Sometimes He says no with protection. Sometimes He says not this one with redirection. And that quiet ending, the one that didn't come with drama or closure, was the most merciful way Allah could remove what wasn't meant for your heart. We think unanswered prayers mean failure, but often they're evidence that Allah loved you enough to step in, to protect you from years of emotional exhaustion, to stop you from building something on shaky ground, to save you from attaching your heart to someone who was never going to honor it. And you'll know it's a divine no, not just because of what ended, but because of what began inside you afterward. A deeper peace, a clarity you didn't have before, a heart that finally stopped begging for something that was never yours. So when you're constantly confused, anxious, and stuck in overthinking, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, did I really place this in Allah's hands? And if you did, let that be enough. Don't try to chase signs after Allah has already given you stillness, because the right one, the one written for you, won't come with anxiety that clouds your soul. They'll come with peace that strengthens it. You won't feel like you're losing your sanity trying to hold it together. You'll feel like something is gently guiding you forward, without you having to force every step. So stop searching for proof in things that only cause confusion. Stop running from silence, thinking it means Allah didn't answer. Because sometimes the most powerful response is the one you feel, not the one you see. It's the absence of stress, the release of fear, the feeling that you're no longer obsessed, no longer afraid, no longer empty. That's not confusion. That's not delay. That's divine mercy. That's Allah guiding you. Not with fireworks, but with the kind of peace that only He can place in a heart that trusts Him. So if it's quiet now, if the story is fading, if your chest feels lighter even though you didn't get what you wanted, say Alhamdulillah, because that's not a loss. It's love, it's guidance, and it's Allah whispering to your heart, what I have for you is better. Trust me. Sign number 5. They respect your growth, not just your image. In today's world, appearances are everything. Social media highlights, perfect selfies, carefully crafted smiles. They create the illusion that someone's worth is based on how put together they seem. It's easy for people to fall in love with your image, the version of you that's confident, joyful, productive, and glowing. They admire how you carry yourself when you're winning, when you're calm, when you're on. But the truth is, image isn't reality. Behind that confidence is a story. Behind every smile is a past. Behind every strong voice is a struggle no one clapped for. You've had to fight to become the person you are. You've made sacrifices no one saw. You've battled doubts, fears, traumas, and heartbreaks just to reach the surface-level strength the world sees today. That's why the kind of love that only falls for your surface won't survive. Because love based on what's easy, convenient, or aesthetic will always crumble when life gets hard. When you're exhausted, when you're distant, when you're healing again, that surface-level love disappears. It backs away. It starts saying, "You've changed." Not realizing you're not changing, you're just growing. But the person Allah sends for you, they don't just love your best version, they respect your process. They see the woman or man who's still learning to forgive, still learning to show up, still learning to believe in themselves again after everything they've been through. They love you when your prayers are consistent and when they're not, when you feel strong in faith, and when you're struggling to hold on. They don't measure your worth by your perfection. They value your effort. Because real love, love that's written for you, doesn't just say, "I love who you are." It says, "I love who you're becoming." And it shows up in the quiet moments, when they notice your tiny steps and celebrate them, when they listen to your doubts without trying to fix you, when they let you cry without rushing your healing, when they remind you to rest, not because you're weak, but because you're human. With them, you don't feel like you're performing. You don't feel like you have to hide your off days or force a smile to keep them interested. You can be tired. You can be anxious. You can be raw. And they'll still look at you with respect. Not pity, not judgment, just presence, support, love. They don't weaponize your past against you. They don't compare you to others. They don't use your healing journey as a reason to withdraw or punish you emotionally, because they know your healing is not a flaw. It's a sign that you're trying, and they respect that effort more than they admire polished perfection. They'll be patient when you're triggered. They'll stand by you when you're overwhelmed. They'll help you come back to yourself, not by controlling you, but by reminding you of your worth. That kind of love is steady. It's not loud or showy. It's quiet, sincere, and deeply rooted in faith. They push you gently toward Allah, not by shaming you into becoming better, but by holding space for your growth with compassion. They correct you without crushing you. They challenge you without belittling you. They remind you that you're allowed to be a work in progress and still be loved. Because when someone truly honors your growth, they see your transformation as sacred, not inconvenient. They understand that healing is not a straight line, and love is not about waiting for you to be perfect. It's about walking with you as you evolve. So don't chase the kind of love that only shows up when you're strong. Wait for the one who honors you when you're in pieces, who sits with your shadows and doesn't flinch, who sees your messiness and still chooses mercy. That's the person who was sent by Allah, not to make you feel fixed, but to help you feel safe while you grow. Because they don't just love the version of you that impresses the world. They love the version Allah is slowly shaping in private. And they don't want to love you from afar. They want to walk beside you, patiently, consistently, faithfully, with love that mirrors the rahmah of the one who created both of your souls to meet, not just for dunya, but to walk hand in hand toward Jannah. Sign number 6. Allah removes who doesn't deserve you first. Before Allah gives you the person your soul is truly meant to walk with, He will often first remove the ones who were never meant to stay. Not out of anger, not out of punishment, but out of divine love, protection, and mercy. You may not see it right away, especially when your heart is still holding on, still hoping, still praying for a person who made you feel seen, wanted, maybe even deeply loved, for a moment. But Allah sees what you cannot. He sees the parts of that person's heart you don't have access to. He sees their intentions. He hears what they say when you're not around. He knows whether their presence in your life is building you or slowly breaking you. And so, when He removes them, it may feel like loss. But in reality, it's a rescue. It's a silent act of mercy to pull you out of something that might have looked good on the surface, but was never good for your soul. Sometimes that removal is sudden. They vanish. They stop calling. They stop caring. You're left staring at unanswered messages, questioning your worth, replaying every memory, and wondering what you did wrong. Other times, the removal is slow. The connection fades. The warmth disappears. What was once daily conversations becomes distant silence, and you sit in that silence thinking, was I not enough? Was my dua ignored? But the truth is, your dua was heard. Every word, every tear, every whisper that said, Ya Allah, bring me someone who will love me right, protect my heart, and walk with me toward you. And that's exactly what Allah began doing. He started answering, not by giving you what you thought you needed, but by clearing the space so He could give you what you actually asked for. Because sometimes you're not holding on to love, you're holding on to a lesson, to an emotional attachment, to a chapter that was meant to grow you, not complete you. That person might have made you smile. They might have brought you comfort. But were they preparing you for Jannah or pulling you further from peace? Were they honoring your boundaries or testing them over and over again? Were they teaching you love or teaching you how to lose yourself trying to keep it? Sometimes people aren't soulmates. They're mirrors. They reflect what you still need to heal, what you still need to learn, what you still need to let go of. And when that lesson is learned, when your soul starts waking up to the truth, Allah removes them, quietly, firmly, mercifully. And yes, it breaks your heart, because endings are heavy, especially when they come without answers, especially when you still love them. But that heartbreak is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to rebuild you, to bring you back to yourself, to bring you back to Allah, to remind you that love from the wrong source will always drain you, and love from the right one will always guide you. And here's something many people don't understand. When Allah removes someone, He's not just saying, not them. He's saying, I love you too much to let this continue. He's saying, I saw what was behind the scenes. He's saying, you asked for peace, and this isn't it. He doesn't slam the door because He wants to shock you. He lets it close gently, quietly, so you don't panic. So you have time to let go with dignity. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you're faithful. It means you trust that what Allah takes, He replaces. Not always with someone the same, but with someone who's better for your soul. And that space they leave behind, it's not emptiness. It's a preparation zone. It's where your strength is built, your clarity is sharpened, your heart is healed. So when the one Allah has written for you arrives, they won't walk into a storm. They'll walk into peace. They'll walk into the version of you that knows what she or he deserves. That understands the difference between attention and effort, between being kept and being chosen, between being tolerated and being treasured. And the best part? They won't come to fill a void. They'll come to honor the space that was cleared for them. They'll treat your heart like it's already been through enough, because it has. And they'll come with peace, not pressure. With consistency, not confusion. With purpose, not performance. So if someone walked away, let them. If something ended, don't chase it. If you're sitting in the silence of what could have been, thank Allah quietly. Because what you're calling a heartbreak might actually be a divine redirection, and what you're grieving might not be a loss, but a clearing for something far more sacred. Let go. Let Allah write the next chapter, because the one who's meant for your soul will never make you question your worth, and what's truly yours will never require you to lose yourself to keep it. It will bring you back to yourself and closer to Him. Sign number 7. You become a better you without losing yourself. The right person doesn't enter your life to fix you, fill a void in you, or complete you, because you were never incomplete to begin with. Allah didn't create you as a half, waiting for another human to make you whole. He created you as a soul with purpose, strength, and potential. So when the right person arrives, the one Allah has written with your soul in mind, they don't show up trying to rewrite your story. They don't come with a list of requirements or a silent expectation for you to change your essence just to be loved. They come to walk with you, side by side, to witness your journey, not control it, to support your growth, not rush it, to love you for who you are and who you're becoming, not because they're trying to shape you, but because they recognize the beauty of what Allah is already shaping in you. Real love, the kind that Allah blesses, never asks you to shrink. It never asks you to dim your light to make someone else feel secure. It never forces you to hide your struggles, mute your voice, or soften your truth just to keep the peace. It never tells you you're too much, and it never makes you feel like your imperfections disqualify you from being loved. Instead, it gives you space to grow without fear. You feel seen, not just when you're doing well, but even when you're struggling. You feel safe being honest about your doubts, your dreams, your pain. You don't feel like you're performing just to be worthy of love. You feel like you're evolving and someone's walking with you, not watching you from a distance, waiting for you to get it all right. With the right person, your heart expands, your intentions deepen. You pray with more sincerity, not out of pressure, but out of peace. You begin caring more about your words, your choices, your sincerity, not because you're being judged, but because you're being gently encouraged by someone who wants to see you get closer to Allah. You don't feel like your identity is being erased. You feel like it's being honored. Not one part of you has to be hidden or edited to fit into someone else's idea of love. Your voice still matters. Your history is still valid. Your journey is still sacred. And even when you fall short, even when you're not at your best, they remain consistent. They correct you with gentleness, not shame. They hold you accountable without making you feel small. They love you with rahmah, the kind of love that gives more than it takes. That steadies you instead of shaking you. That walks beside you, not ahead of you. You don't feel like you're constantly giving without being received. You don't feel emotionally drained from trying to meet expectations you never agreed to. Instead, you feel energized, because this relationship actually feeds your soul. It gives more than it takes. It fills you with purpose, not pressure. You don't lose yourself to be loved. You discover more of yourself through love. And that's the difference between a relationship based on control and one based on divine alignment. The former exhausts you, the latter uplifts you. The former makes you question your worth. The latter reminds you of it. When it's real, when it's written, you won't have to abandon your dreams to build a future together. You won't have to compromise your connection with Allah to maintain the connection with them. They'll reinforce that connection. They'll pray with you, grow with you, dream with you, and push you gently, always with respect, toward the version of you that Allah intended. Not the version the world wants to see, but the one your soul longs to become. You and this person will become a team, not to show off your love to the world, but to build something quiet, meaningful, eternal. Not just a home, but a mission, a companionship that reflects Allah's mercy and leads you both toward Jannah. And here's what makes it beautiful. They won't just love who you are today. They'll honor the battles you've already fought. They'll respect the healing you're still going through. And they'll invest in your tomorrow without ever asking you to shrink, to hide, or to become someone else. So if you ever wonder whether it's love, ask yourself, do I feel more like myself when I'm with them? Do I feel closer to Allah when I'm beside them? Do I feel safe, not just emotionally, but spiritually? Because the right person will never ask you to choose between love and growth. They'll make both possible, not through control or conditions, but through love that mirrors the mercy of the one who created your heart in the first place. This is what Allah writes when two hearts are aligned for more than romance, when they are aligned for faith, for purpose, and for eternal companionship. And with them, you won't just feel loved, you'll feel lifted, You'll feel seen. You'll feel safe to become. Don't chase. Prepare. So if you're still sitting in that quiet space, wondering, who's the one? When will they come? Why does it feel like I'm waiting forever? Maybe the real question isn't who you're waiting for, but who you're becoming while you wait. Because the truth is, Allah already knows. He knows the name of the one your soul is written to meet. He knows the first moment your eyes will meet. He knows the way their presence will calm your storm, the way your conversations will reflect your shared purpose, the way your love will carry both of you closer to Him. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, is not only preparing them for you, He's preparing you for them. He's preparing you for the life you're asking Him to bless. That's why this season of waiting, this season of quiet reflection, long nights of dua, the confusion, the unanswered messages, the endings that didn't make sense, it isn't wasted, it's sacred. It's divine preparation. Every time you raise your hands and whisper, Ya Allah, guide me, you're not just asking for a spouse, you're asking for alignment, for clarity, for a love that's built not on convenience, but on conviction, not on lust or temporary feelings, but on faith, purpose, and amana. You're asking for a marriage that isn't based on image, not on appearances, Instagram stories, or social expectations, but on intention, on real companionship, on a connection that has roots in heaven and fruits in your everyday life. So stop chasing people who confuse your soul but excite your attachment. Stop shrinking to be chosen. Stop bending your boundaries just to be good enough for someone who doesn't even know how to recognize sincerity. The one written for you by Allah will not need to be convinced of your value. They will come with clarity, not confusion. They will come with respect, not games. They will come with effort, not excuses. And most importantly, they will come with peace. Not just the peace of butterflies in your stomach, but the peace that settles deep inside your chest after you've made dua. The kind of peace that feels like Allah is gently holding your heart and whispering, "This is safe. This is yours. Walk forward." You won't have to explain why you matter. You won't have to beg to be respected. You won't have to fear that one wrong move will make you lose them, because they weren't written to walk away from you. They were written to walk with you through this life and into the next, inshallah. So don't panic if they haven't arrived yet. Don't compare your journey to someone else's timeline. Don't let society trick you into believing you're behind. You're not. You're being prepared. And that's one of the greatest mercies Allah can give. Because the longer Allah takes, the deeper the transformation. The more beautiful the result, the stronger the foundation. So while you wait, become. Become the kind of person who prays with depth, who heals with intention, who knows their worth and carries it with dignity, who doesn't just ask for love, but prepares for a partnership that pleases Allah. Don't just wish for someone who stands beside you in pictures. Pray for someone who stands beside you in sujood, someone who will wipe your tears and remind you of Jannah, someone who won't just love your strengths, but will hold your hand through your healing, someone who knows that love isn't perfection, it's progress, together. And when that person comes, you'll know. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing feels forced. The door opens without you begging. The love flows without you doubting. And your heart, instead of racing with anxiety, will rest in stillness. That's the sign. That's how Allah speaks. Not always with lightning and clarity, but with a peace that cannot be explained. So don't rush, don't chase, don't settle. Prepare, heal, trust. because what's truly meant for you won't play with your worth. It won't require you to break your own heart just to keep someone else. It won't demand that you betray your values just to feel loved. What's truly meant for you will align. It will uplift. It will feel right. And it will last. If this message touched your heart, pause for just a moment and type this dua below. Ya Allah, guide me to what's best for my heart, my deen, and my future. You never know. Your dua might be the reminder someone else needed to see today. Like this video if it brought you clarity. Share it with someone who's still waiting in silence. And don't forget to subscribe for more reminders rooted in faith, truth, and mercy. May Allah bless you with a love that doesn't test your worth, but proves your prayers were always heard. A love that nourishes your soul, strengthens your iman, and walks hand in hand with you, all the way to Jannah. Ameen.